guys, so I get a lot of questions on how I dye my hair, and I got a few requests to do a tutorial, so here we are. So try to keep in mind in this video that I am not a professional. I'm just a girl who loves beauty and fashion, so I kind of figured out ways that work best for me. I help a lot of my friends and family out with their hair, and I help them style and figure out what color works best for them and what products work for them, and I have done hair coloring so many times, so I do have a lot of experience with it, but I'm not a professional. So all the products that I use today are actually the Ion products, and I got them all from Sally's Beauty Supply. However, if you guys are just using an at-home kit, if you're using just like a drugstore boxed hair dye, then I'll show you guys kind of how I apply hair dye, and you guys can kind of make it work with whatever products that you guys have on hand. So I always use Developer 10. Again, this is the Ion products from Sally's Beauty Supply. There's like 10, 20, 30, and 40, I think. It might go to 50, but I don't think so. I've never used Developer that high before. So 10 is just for basic hair dyeing, what I usually use most of the time. When you're lightening hair, kind of getting into bleaching and stuff, that's when you're using your 30s and 40s. And then when you're just doing gray coverage, if you have a little bit more difficult hair to work with, then you use about a 20. So I've used all of the hair developers, 10 through 40, and I just find that 10 works great for my hair, and why put more chemicals on your hair if you don't need to, right? So I do use 10, and then the hair dyes that I've been using for quite a while now on myself are the Color Brilliance Ion Cream ones. I don't like the liquid ones. I just like the cream ones better because I like the consistency. It's easier for me to put in my hair and to like blend into my hair more. And the colors that I use today are darkest brown and jet black. And I use 3/4 of the darkest brown and 1/4 of the jet black. Today I actually put in a little bit more jet black than I usually do. I enjoy mixing my own colors myself. I find that it blends better, and I like having the control. Some of the things that are awesome about being able to dye your hair yourself is that you can do it whenever you want, and you can do it in the comfort of your home, and it is a lot less expensive. It's something that I found I'm able to save so much money, and I'm able to save so much of my friends and family's money because it only costs like $10 for all of this hair product. The brown and the black together kind of gives my hair a richness that's almost like a soft black color that I like to make myself instead of just using pure jet black, because I don't want like black hair, and I like having that rich warm color in there because I am naturally a brunette. So the reason why I color my hair is because naturally I have a mousy, ashy brown color, and I just don't think it's very pretty, and I just like to have my hair darker. I'm someone who really prefers dark hair in general because I find that it brings out a lot of the features in like my face and my coloring, and it's really flattering on my body type. But I love to experiment with different hair dyes. I've had like every shade of brown and every shade of red, and I've had highlights, so I've got my experience with hair colors. Alright, well, enough about me. If you guys want to see how I dye my hair, the different techniques that I like to use, then keep on watching. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need is a pair of gloves, and these ones I purchased at Sally's Beauty Supply, but they'll either come in your hair dye kit, or you can pick up some at Sally's Beauty Supply, some regular gloves at like Walmart, or my fiance actually told me that they're very similar to the ones that he used when he was a tattoo artist. So any gloves that are going to protect your hands, because if you touch your hair with hair dye in it, it will stain your hands for like a week or something. Of course, you're going to need your actual hair dye and developer, and this will either come in your kit or you can purchase them separately. You're also going to need a mixing bowl and a brush that looks like this. These are both from Sally's Beauty Supply. A lot of kits come with weird things like this, and if you want to use something similar to this, you totally can. Even when I buy boxed hair dye, I like to put it in this just because I feel like this is a lot easier to use and easier to control than this is, but whatever works for you. You'll need some clips to put your hair back, and these are butterfly clips. I got them at Sally's Beauty Supply. They're like 20 cents a piece or something. I bought them in like a big kit, but any hair clips that you don't mind getting hair dye on. Chapstick or Vaseline. This is just a regular petroleum jelly that I've had since I was 3, and it's almost gone actually. But yeah, you're gonna use this to put on your hairline to protect your head. A regular plastic bag, this one's from Walmart, just to put on your head so that you don't get hair dye everywhere. A designated hair dye shirt like the one that I have on. As you can see, I have hair dye all over it that's stained on there, so I had designated hair dye shirt because it's going to ruin it, and a designated hair dye towel because it's going to ruin that too. And last but not least, a good old handy dandy hairbrush. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start off just by brushing out my hair just to get out any of the tangles. You always want to start off with dirtier hair, so my hair is kind of gross in this video if you guys can tell. It's like third day hair, I think. I try to use hair that doesn't have a lot of chemicals in it when I haven't worn a lot of hairspray and I haven't gone swimming, so there's no chlorine or anything, because that kind of coats the hair. It makes it a little bit harder to get an even hair dye look. Okay, so I'm going to begin to use the hair coloring. What you're going to do is take the lid off and you're going to poke the little pokey thing into the lid, and that's going to open it up like that. So now that I've got all my hair dye in there, I'm going to put in some of the developer. So what I'm going to do is do 2 parts developer and 1 part hair coloring. And since about one of these tubes is 2 ounces, I'm going to do a little bit more than 4 ounces of hair developer. And there's my developer, and I'm just going to mix it in with my hair dye now. So I'm going to pour it all in there just like that, and I'm going to mix it all up. Okay, so when you're done mixing, the consistency should look something like this. It's thick and goopy, so it's easy to spread around in your hair. It shouldn't be too thin or too runny, but you obviously don't want it like ridiculously thick. And obviously you won't need this much product if you have shorter hair, but if you have a lot of thick hair like I do, then this is how much you should probably be using. Okay, so now I'm going to be using my petroleum jelly or chapstick, whatever you want. And I'm just going to take a little bit on my fingers. You can use like a cotton swab or something, but this is what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to line the outer edge of my face with it. Just the places that are close to my hairline, because once that hair dye gets on your skin, it's really hard to get it off. And this is going to prevent it from sticking. So put it all over your hairline, down the back of my neck and onto my ears, and that way it'll rub off really easily when we're done putting on our hair dye and we don't have like weird purple streaks or whatever hair color you're doing. Okay, so now I'm going to tie up a lot of my hair. I like to start from the bottom up, so I'm going to leave just like a small amount back here for me to dye, and pin the rest of it up and out of the way, and I'm just going to use clips to do that. And I'm going to look really funny here in a couple minutes. Okay, so I'm going to brush out that hair down there, and I'm going to go ahead and flip my head and get the bottom side first. So you're going to take the hair dye on your brush and go ahead and just start applying it all over. The back of your head is the hardest part to get because I can't see it. Okay, so once I've gotten the back really nicely, I'm going to start and just begin to apply the hair dye all the way down my hair. I'm really going to work it in with my hands, so that's one reason why it's really important to have gloves, because you really want to make sure it gets into all of the hair. And I just apply a very even amount all the way down the hair shaft. This is a really messy process, so don't be scared. Don't be feeling like you're putting too much on or not enough on. Just keep adding more and more until you feel like your hair is perfectly coated. Nobody knows that I am. Okay, so you guys can see the color's already like developing on my face. Good thing we put on all that Vaseline, right? So we're gonna start to put down more hair, and we're just gonna do it in little sections. Some people like to pre-section their hair off before they do it, but I just like to section it as I go. Okay, so the next section I'm actually just gonna grab this side piece right here. I don't do this in a very organized way. I just make sure that I get small sections, because if you have large sections, it's really hard for you to tell if the center of the piece has gotten hair dye on it. So when I let down a new piece, I go ahead and I brush it out just to make sure there's no tangles. And once again, I'm going to start on the bottom. I follow you home, careful to walk behind you. I climb up your... Okay, when I'm doing these sections, I like to kind of open up the section a little bit and make sure all of the hair is wet. If you see any kind of dry pieces, that means it doesn't have enough hair dye on. Hide in the leaves to keep you from seeing who I am. Call me obsessed, but I need to know your name, your age, your address. Okay, Okay, so now we're up to my bangs, and just the same way as we were doing it on the rest of the hair, I'm just gonna put all of the hair dye up in my roots and on the rest of it.
Where in the world you came from? It's silly to think that I'm on the brink of falling right off my rocker.
Okay, so now that I have all my hair coated in hair dye, what I'm gonna do is take big glops of the remaining hair dye, just like big amounts like that, and I'm gonna just start putting it up on any of the areas that look somewhat scarce, and I'm really gonna massage it into my head. And this is gonna make sure we get every single little tiny baby hair that we would have up at the roots, because sometimes up at the roots you have like little short hairs, and you want to make sure they all get covered. And I'm just gonna take all the rest of the remaining, and I'm just really gonna make sure I get it in any areas that may have missed some. I like to just use up all my hair dye. That way I know that I've got my hair. I just like to feel like there's lots of hair dye in there. You really don't need a super thick amount in order for your hair to get the hair dye, because it will absorb it. But I just like to get a really thick amount in there. That way I know that everything is covered. Okay, so I finished dyeing my hair, and I gathered it all up on top of my head, and I'm just going to pin it in a bunch of different spots to make sure. Oh no! I'm just gonna pin it and make sure it's all gonna stay in place. Okay, so I'm gonna take my hair dye towel and get off all the excess hair dye, and I actually got a bunch on my arms, so that sucks. But I'm gonna use it to get off the hair dye off of my face. And this isn't gonna get all of it off just by wiping it with the towel, but you're gonna wanna get the majority that you can now. And that Vaseline is gonna help with that. Now I'm gonna take my Walmart bag, and I am just going to stick it on there and wrap the back of my neck and bring it forward. And I'm just gonna secure it however you wanna secure it. Just like that. Okay, now I'm gonna wait about an hour before I rinse out my hair, and I'm just gonna shampoo it and condition it, and then I'll be back to show you guys the final result. Okay, so this is how my hair ended up turning out. I dyed my hair this morning, and this is just one rinse through. I actually still have some of the color like stuck on me from not getting it all off yet. My hair is gonna fade a little bit, which is another reason why I like to put a little bit more black in, just because naturally your hair dye is going to fade just a little bit within the next couple of weeks. However, I do like to use color lock-in shampoos and conditioners, color friendly products, and the one that is my favorite is the Frida collection. This is the Brilliant Brunette hairline, and it's just very moisturizing. It makes your hair very silky and soft, and it helps to keep the color in place. I've heard really good things about the Blonde collection by Frida as well, and they have it for redheads and a bunch of other good hair dyeing products that I really like. So if y'all are looking for some good shampoos and conditioners from the drugstore even, Frida is your man. So the reason why I develop my hair for an hour is I find that that's how long it works for my hair. This actual product, the Color Icon collection, Ion hair products, recommends, I think it's 30 minutes, and they do have little tables and charts and all of the hair dye kits that you'll see out there. So make sure you read them, because they'll tell you what they recommend of how long you let your hair develop for. But the reason why I like to do a full hour is because I don't have virgin hair. And if you guys aren't familiar with that term, virgin obviously means that it's inexperienced. So inexperienced hair would just be hair that's never been dyed before. If you've never used hair coloring, then your hair is going to dye so much easier. It's going to take to the color very quickly, and it's just a lot easier to dye your hair, so you won't have to leave it on as long. Obviously, if you're going darker, you won't have to leave it on as long either. If I was a blonde and I was trying to achieve this color, I would only need to leave it on for like 30 or 45 minutes, not a full hour like I did, but that's what I decided to do. If you guys have never dyed your hair before and you're testing out hair dyes, I definitely recommend doing a test strip, which just means testing like a little piece of hair back here behind your head, and seeing how your hair takes to it and stuff. One reason why I recommend that is because it just got dark. one reason why I recommend that is because some people are allergic to hair dye, so you want to be careful of that before you put it all over your head. But another reason is because you want to see how much developer you need to use and what the developing time that you should be using on your hair, because everyone is different. So you'll want to test it out if you've never dyed your hair before, but if you are experienced, then I'm sure you're good to go. Alright, well that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all found this video informative and I hope it answered some of your questions. If you still have some questions for me, go ahead and leave them down below and I'll get back to them as soon as I possibly can. Also, if you want to check out my down bar for all of my links and more information on the products that I use in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it if you guys would subscribe or like this video, and I will see y'all later. Mwah. Bye guys.